It has almost been a year since Jurassic Park Survival was first announced, and needless to say, everybody is getting pretty restless about this game. When will we hear about it next? When will we see the first real glimpse of gameplay? Will it be everything we've hoped for all of these years? All excellent questions that will hopefully be answered sometime soon, and while we wait for these precious answers, I wanted to put together a wish list of things I want to see in this game. Welcome back to Jurassic Outpost. Here's 10 things we want to see in Jurassic Park Survival. In no particular order, number 10, an open world experience. Now I know what some of you will say, but I truly think this game and the island of Isla Nublar presents a perfect opportunity to go open world. Open world in the sense that as a player, we can freely explore the island, the entire island of Isla Nublar, however we want. The definition of open world means the player approaches the objectives, the missions freely, at their own discretion, as opposed to a more linear, structured gameplay. Think Grand Theft Auto. There's a few reasons why I think this format would work for this game. Firstly, the island of Isla Nublar is indeed just that, an island with borders. Limiting the player to certain sections of that island to isolated portions might feel too restrictive. Without the freedom to roam truly as you please, it would feel less real. Reason 2, with the various dinosaur threats that you will encounter on the island, imagine if a velociraptor was hunting you. If you were restricted on where you could and couldn't go, wouldn't that feel a little bit counterintuitive? Wouldn't you want the freedom to hide, to evade the dinosaur as you please? So what if it takes me 5 miles off course into the deep jungle? I'm evading a raptor. The third reason, after all of these years of cancelled games and just the hope of wanting to go back to Jurassic Park in video game form, I really don't want to be restricted in where I can and can't go on the island, especially segmenting it via levels. I want to explore the visitor center whenever and however I please. I want to drive the staff jeep to the East Dock whenever I feel like it. The freedom to roam Isla Nublar alone, at night, in the daytime, whenever, is something I hope this game allows for, because it's something I've been wanting for a really long time. Now, of course, realistically, I don't think this game will end up being open world. I think it's more likely to be segmented like Alien Isolation is, but this wouldn't be a wish list without, well, you know, a wish. Number 9, drivable vehicles. It's almost a given at this point in time that Maya will be able to drive the various vehicles on the island, but that isn't currently confirmed. The developers, Saber Interactive, made their debut in the video game field with driving games. Specifically, the Mud Runner, the Snow Runner series, and driving in those games is, well, it's pretty damn accurate. Those games are all about precise, careful maneuvering. The vehicles are all upgradable and you can choose different tires, accessories, whatever to improve your driving in certain conditions and in certain locations. There are winches to deal with, which really do come in handy when you get stuck or when traversing some tough terrain, and the physics alone in that game make driving a pretty damn fun challenge, if you can get it right. I think there's no doubt Saber will introduce some of these mechanics into the game. Of course, we don't want that full package. Driving needs to be simplified for sure, more so than it is in SnowRunner, but imagine flying down the various roads, the Jeep Wrangler slipping around in mud while a T-Rex chases you. One wrong move and your Jeep could lose control, spinning out, leaving you face to face with the T-Rex.
Get off the stick, bloody move!
Let alone the fact that a vehicle could be a great way to navigate around the island at speed. Being able to drive the infamous Jurassic Park staff Jeep would be nothing short of exciting. It's something we all want to do, and it makes you wonder, what other vehicles did InGen have on the island? We know the Ford Explorer, the tour vehicle, is operated by the electric trackway.
Oh, no drivers. They're electric. They run on this track in the middle of the roadway here. Totally non-polluting, top of the line. Spared no expense.
If the island's power is functioning in the game, then imagine hopping in the back of the Explorer and letting it roam around the island by itself. Number 8, Easter eggs. Gimme those Easter eggs, and by that, I mean this game better be filled with Easter eggs and references to that first movie. We need to be able to find the remains of Gennaro.
I think this was Gennaro.
I think this was too.
We want to find the Upside Down Explorer. We need to be able to find the remains of Nedry. I want this island to be populated with recreations of that first film for us to revisit, and honestly, why wouldn't it be? If we can explore Nublar in the way I hope, then I really am hoping that Saber have been filling the island with some deep Jurassic lore. After all, a piece of concept art shows us the maintenance building that we first saw in Fallen Kingdom, confirming that this building was indeed an original InGen construction. Maybe it's time we get to explore the underground tunnel system. Supposedly, this system linked the paddocks, the buildings, the docks. It was used to transport dinosaurs, food, and supplies to each paddock and across the island. Now, these tunnels existed in Jurassic Park the game, at least there are schematics showing as such.
I understand how to read a schematic.
So I'm hoping we'll get to explore these tunnels for ourselves in survival. Imagine navigating through these tunnels with a torch or some sort of light source in the dark, not knowing what you might find. Wouldn't that be fantastically scary? Very much like hiding in the vents in Alien Isolation. If at some point during the game we need to go to the East Dock, then stumbling upon Nedry's Jeep and seeing what's inside is a must. And of course, having to deal with the deadly Dilophosaurus is also a must. Not only that, I want to uncover the Barbasol canister, Nedry's lost glasses, and even have the chance to find Dr. Grant's Raptor claw. I want to visit Nedry's desk in the control room. I want to find the misspelled dinosaur names in the cold storage room. I want to revisit the numerous locations that I fell in love with while watching that first movie. And the animated trailer shows us a number of these locations, so honestly there's very little doubt that we'll be able to fully explore them in survival. Number 7, a dinosaur AI similar to Alien Isolation. In Alien Isolation, the Xenomorph has become a benchmark for antagonists in video games, specifically in the horror survival genre. The alien learns where you've been, where you hide, and what routes you take, and needless to say, this makes the game all the more haunting as you delicately try to evade any form of encounter. The Xenomorph might jump scare you, and sometimes it might feel like it's appearing out of nowhere, but in actuality, this creature navigates through the levels in the same way that you do as the player. It's just much better at it. The Velociraptors need to follow this same protocol, meaning I don't just want the game to throw dinosaurs at me whenever it feels like it. The raptors, the dinosaurs, they should be roaming the island the entire time, and if the raptor really is hunting you as the player, then I want it to be smart and cunning, hunting you in a way that shows its true skill. It would be a shame if the game suddenly throws raptors at you that appear out of nowhere. The Velociraptors, and of course the other dinosaurs, should learn where you are, where you hide, and once they learn these things, they have the ability to outsmart you. It would make the gameplay harder as it moves along, and Maya's choice of hiding spots would become smaller and smaller as you play. In fact, I want the raptors to show their true pack mentality and behaviors here that have been demonstrated in the films. It would be like multiple xenomorphs in Alien Isolation and could lead you in a similar position to Robert Muldoon.
Clever girl.
Which leads me to number 6, raptor hunting pattern. That scene in Jurassic Park is of course very iconic, and this wouldn't be a Jurassic Park video game without those behaviors on display. Imagine the first time you play this game. You've outsmarted a velociraptor, or so you think. You're watching it through the jungle and waiting for it to move on, and then...
That's when the attack comes, not from the front, but from the side. From the other two raptors, you didn't even know were there.
I think the Velociraptors are going to be the highlight of this game. The other dinosaurs all present challenges and obstacles for the player, but no dinosaur in this franchise outsmarts the raptor, and not just one, a pack of raptors. Remember, these raptors have just lost some prey. Tim, Lex, Alan, Ellie, Malcolm, Hammond, they managed to escape the island and survive. The raptors, well, they aren't going to be happy about that, especially after developing a taste for human blood.
Oh, Mr. Arnold.
Once these raptors know you're there, it's over. And that reminds me, recent video games like Don't Scream, for example, use your microphone to hear you reacting to the game, and you're not allowed to scream. Imagine if Survival implements a similar tool, where if you make sounds while playing, the raptors can hear you too. Number 5, props and weapons. We've talked about driving and the vehicles of Jurassic Park, but what about the props? Another thing I want to be able to use to pick up are the various tools and weapons that InGen staff had at their disposal. We saw Maya using the walkie-talkie in the trailer, but will this actually be a useful tool in the game? Are there other human characters on the island? Aside from that, I want to be able to pick up and carefully prepare Muldoon's shotgun, the Spaz 12. Even though he wasn't able to use this gun against the raptors, just being able to walk around holding this iconic weapon, well, it's a must. But that's not all. The iconic flashlights, Nedry's rain jacket, the night vision goggles, even being able to pick up and flip through the park brochures. Sure, it's not an essential game requirement, but these are the kind of props I want to also be able to interact with in the game. Oh, and of course, flares.
Hey!
Number 4, third person. This game has already been confirmed to be a first-person adventure, but I gotta say, I think this game would benefit more from being in a third-person view. First person has its advantages, of course, but this game is not a shooter. It's not a first-person shooter. It's a survival game where we get to explore Jurassic Park and control a character who has to evade numerous dinosaur threats. I think this alone, for me anyway, is reason enough for this game to be third person, to open the field of view, to give you full view of the character. Think of games like The Last of Us, Uncharted, heck even the Grand Theft Auto series. You have full view of your character, of your surroundings, and can much more easily plan your escape, or whatever the task might be. Driving is also much more fun being third person. Again, this might be a personal preference, but I just feel I get much more of an immersive experience in the game world by actually controlling the character in a third person view. Take for example the upcoming Indiana Jones video game, and it looks great, but with it being first person, something about it feels clunky. It feels not appropriate for the type of gameplay and game mechanics used, like the whip for example. Wouldn't that be better seen from a third person camera? There's many reasons for first person. With Alien Isolation being the game many people think survival needs to take a page from, I can understand why they've chosen this to be from a first person perspective. But honestly, I think Jurassic Park Survival should be in third person. I want to see the whole of Maya. I want to feel like I have a much wider view of things, of the iconic locations, and while this has to be one of my top wishlist items, we already know the game is in a first person view, so I guess I'm shouting into the ether a bit here. But you never know, Saber's driving games are all in the third person view, and you can switch from that third person view to a first person perspective. Perhaps Saber will implement the same mechanics here. Number 3, human enemies. After the fall of Jurassic Park, and with rival genetics companies like Biosin already being aware of what was happening on that island, there's a chance Maya might have to contend with human enemies in the game too, not just prehistoric creatures. Alien Isolation has you dealing with the xenomorph, with synthetic androids, and even human enemies. Despite Isla Nublar being evacuated, we already know Dr. Maya Joshi did not make it off the island before all hell broke loose. But is she the only one? While I'm not hoping for Fallen Kingdom level of human combat, I do hope we encounter some adversaries on the island, be it poachers, mercenaries, or teams from other genetics companies. Of course, it should fit within the wider story. We know most of the public still weren't aware of these islands in 1997's The Lost World, so if there are other human threats, they will likely be few and far between. Number 2, exploration and side quests. Now, we've talked about how this island should be fully explorable, but that exploration needs to be engaging. There needs to be things to uncover, and that would be aided by side quests, or numerous quests that take you to multiple locations before you can move on to the next mission. Saber Interactive creative director Oliver Hollis-League offered this explanation of how exploring the island will work. The island is full of different types of terrain, many of them quite challenging. The player will need to use caution and planning in some cases, checking routes in advance. There will also be times when the player will need to move very carefully through an environment to avoid the attention of certain predators. Maya, the main character, is neither superhuman nor an action hero. There are real risks for her around every corner, and the player will need to use a mixture of intelligence, grit, and patience to survive the island's many challenges. I get a sense that exploring the island will be fun, challenging, and sometimes downright frustrating. Number 1, capture that 90s feeling. What does that mean exactly? Well, it's hard to pinpoint, honestly it is, but there's no denying that the world era movies just feel different to the originals. However it happens, I want Saber to capture that true isolation that's present in the first movie, that feeling of adventure, of awe and wonder, and most importantly, that feeling of terror. We don't want them to hold back on the blood, the gore, and the true horror of Jurassic Park, and why should they? It's a video game after all, and it has the option to show us the darker sides of Jurassic without holding back. I hope dinosaur deaths aren't done in the way of Manhunt 2, for example, where the camera distorts and pans away, avoiding the shot. If you get chomped by a dinosaur, let's see that chomp. If you get your face ripped off by a velociraptor, let's see the face being ripped off. Let's not forget, the dinosaurs of Jurassic Park are scary, and encountering the raptors, pretty much means certain death. I hope they don't shy away from showing us that. But anyway, oh yeah, that 90s feeling. Let's get back to that. I want to feel as though we truly are back in 1993 in more ways than one. Some worthy mentions: after the initial release of Alien Isolation, there were additional levels, missions, whatever, made available as DLCs, with even 2 being set at the same time as the original 1979 movie. You can even play as Ellen Ripley. While there's still a ways off from Jurassic Park Survival's release, if the game is successful and well received, wouldn't it be cool having a DLC where you can play during the events of the original movie? Playing as Dr. Ellie Sattler during that adventure or any of the characters would be pretty damn cool. Take us back to Jurassic Park.
Well, there it is. There it is.
That's my wish list for Jurassic Park Survival, but what is yours? Let me know down below in the comments what you're most excited for in this upcoming video game, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button to subscribe for more Jurassic Park content, and as always, thank you for watching this video.